What's going on, gang? So recently there has been a bit of a spat between Elon Musk, the billionaire who owns the app formerly known as Twitter, and his eldest child, now known as Vivian Musk. And of course, the liberal media has taken this as an opportunity to capitalize on the tension between parent and child in order to defame, degrade, and tarnish Elon Musk's reputation and public image. I mean, for me, just seeing how the media is reacting to all this, how they're making it a story and painting it as Musk is some sort of villain for being really disturbed by his own eldest child's transition shows what a dire state this country is in. It is unbelievable that they would cast him as some sort of monster for not agreeing with his eldest child's life choices. It's perfectly natural to not want your child, especially your eldest child, to be on cross sex hormones transitioning into the opposite sex or attempting to. Anyway, you are now watching Red Channels. Please give this video a like, share it because that is the number one way you can help support this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already, and please leave a comment because I like to read your comments and I like to see dialogue and I like to hear your feedback. So let's dive right in. From the Huffington Post, Vivian Wilson hilariously contradicts her dad, Elon Musk's latest attack on her. Already, we see the Huffington Post celebrating this discord between parent and child in a very sick way. Subtitle: The tech billionaire's estranged daughter expertly called out her, quote, pathetic man-child, end quote, father. Vivian Wilson's latest clapback at her pathetic man-child father is certainly funny. That is, until the feeling of existential dread sinks in. On Sunday, Elon Musk decided to respond to a post on his social media platform X, formerly Twitter. The post bizarrely defended Musk's use of a Nazi-like salute while also warning people not to listen to one of the billionaire's most vocal adversaries, his estranged trans daughter, Wilson. In response to the tweet, which referred to Wilson as Musk's son, it's in quotes. This is in quotes, like it's unreasonable. Oh my gosh. The liberal media has lost its mind. The Tesla CEO stated yet again that his quote unquote son was quote unquote dead. Quote, my son Xavier died. He was killed by the woke mind virus, end quote, Musk tweeted. Quote, now the woke mind virus will die, end quote. Now, a lot of people are wondering why Elon Musk suddenly took this abrupt turn to the right over the past couple of months. And I really do believe that this family situation he's currently dealing with his eldest child could be a major contributing factor as to why he suddenly made this shift. I mean, we have literally the richest man in the world suddenly buys Twitter, a major social media network, and he actually makes it, it's not perfect, but about as close to free speech as one could reasonably expect in this current political climate. Why? Why? I think there's really two reasons. I think one of the reasons is that the Saudis bankrolled it because they wanted to take some heat off of them. You had all these liberal journalists criticizing the Saudi government after the execution of that journalist Jamal Khashoggi. And I also think that Elon was upset about his family dynamic, about what his oldest child was doing with their life. And I think it was a confluence of those two factors and probably a couple others. But in response to this tweet here that Elon Musk made, Vivian posted a TikTok, which I will now show you.
I look pretty good for a dead bitch.
These are some words I never thought would come out of my mouth, but man, I kind of feel bad for the richest man in the world right now. Just having your own child turned against you like this, having your dirty laundry aired everywhere, and seeing these major media institutions cheer it on, cheer the conflict on. There is no amount of money, if you are actually a caring and loving father, which I believe Elon is, there is no amount of money that will ever make up for that. This is pretty horrible to watch. This is quite the spectacle. But let's get back to the article. The language of the tweet is pretty loaded. But one interpretation could be that Musk, who has become a leading advisor to President Donald Trump, desires to silence anyone with liberal values and dismisses Wilson's opinions as an unapologetically trans and liberal woman by denying her very existence. And it seems that Wilson wants to remind her dad that not only is she alive, but she's not going to shut up. In a TikTok posted to Wilson's account on Sunday, she shared a screenshot of Musk's tweet, but made a little tweak. Over the screenshot, Wilson wrote an annotation explaining that Xavier is her old name.
For those of you who are unaware, this is my old name. And what I'm doing is serving cunt. Pretty simple, actually. So sorry about that.
Guys, I still plan on building a family, having children, etc., but seeing stuff like this, the richest man in the world wasn't even able to insulate his own children from the woke mind virus. I understand MGTOW, men going their own way, as it's called. When I see headlines like this, like, why even deal with a woman if she's going to raise your eldest child to be like this? This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. This could happen. What hope do we have if Elon Musk can't even protect his own kids from this? What hope do you and I have? Anyway, let's get right back into this article. The video then transitions to the 20-year-old flipping her long blonde hair while mouthing the words to an audio clip that states, quote, "I look pretty good for a dead bee," end quote. What makes Wilson's post even more defiant is that the audio she's lip syncing comes from an episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars. For the caption of her video, Wilson simply wrote, "And you don't," and included the hashtag trans hashtag. Okay, on a slightly related note, it is pretty remarkable that now you have the Huffington Post reporting on what is basically Twitter and TikTok drama. Like, this is massively legitimizing to those two platforms. I get it. Elon Musk is he's the richest man on the entire planet, whatever. But it's still kind of interesting that you see the Huffington Post quoting tweets made by Elon Musk and then also referencing TikToks made by his oldest child. This is a very weird era of social media that we now live in. But for a brief aside, let's take a look at how Elon's eldest child is doing politically. What politics has this individual decided to adopt? Let's check that out real quick.
Could you give us some of your political beliefs?
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit. Filth are my politics. Filth is my life. Take whatever you like.
Yeah.
Wow, complete rebellion and defiance. So original and challenging to the status quo. Not like the entire media and countless people on TikTok are supporting you in your decision. Man, you really are a true rebel in holding the stances on politics you hold. But okay, let me explain this TikTok real quick. For the boomers, for the older people, for people who may not get this, this is a sort of self parody. This individual, Vivian Wilson, is parodying their own views. It's a sort of hyperbole, if you will. This individual is being hyperbolic. So they're obviously a rebel. They're obviously rebelling against their father, Elon Musk, and what they perceive to be the status quo. And then they're sort of satirizing that rebellion with all these extreme statements. But as you and I know, the real irony of this so called rebellion is that it is promoted by major established institutions in this country. It's not organic, it's not fighting the power, standing up against the man. It's all controlled. But aside from all this, it is genuinely sad to see the discord that has been created between the richest man on the planet and his eldest child.
Genuine question. When you woke up this morning, did you leave your brain on the bedside table or are you genuinely this daft? That was a rhetorical question. The answer is yes.
Leftists always seem to make the same cringe jokes in the same cringe way. But let's jump right back into the article now. Wilson has been on a crusade to discredit her father ever since the unelected billionaire. Oh my gosh. Not that you didn't already know, but obviously the Huffington Post is a left wing rag. They really threw that in. The unelected billionaire was designed a quote special government employee end quote by the Trump administration and began recklessly running the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Last week, Wilson described her dad as a pathetic man-child to Teen Vogue and called her father's Nazi-like salute at Trump's inauguration rally insane. She also called out Musk for downplaying his use of the gesture in the past. Musk has insisted that he is not a Nazi and accused people who interpret his gesture as a Nazi salute of giving into coordinated propaganda, despite the gesture's strong historical significance. Quote, what's relevant about Nazis is like, are you invading Poland? And if you're not invading Poland, maybe you're not, end quote, Musk told Joe Rogan on his podcast earlier this month. Quote, you have to be committing genocide and starting wars, end quote. But Wilson told Teen Vogue that's just a bunch of gaslighting on Musk's part. Quote, honey, we're going to call a fig, and we're going to call a Nazi salute what it is, end quote, Wilson told Teen Vogue. Quote, that S was definitely a Nazi salute, end quote. I mean, I shouldn't be shocked, but it is always bracing to see how the liberal media establishment will really brainwash people like this. Elon's own eldest child believing he did a certain salute from the 1930s. Man, they've totally capitalized on this. This is like an open wound the liberal media has just decided to pick at for their own purposes, to serve their own ends. It is truly disgusting and disturbing that this is the point our country's at. Anyway, gang, that is a wrap for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, share it because that's the number one way you can support this channel. But if you want to support this channel monetarily, you can go down into the description section and sub to me on Patreon. Give me $5 a month or whatever. And Red Channels will catch you in the next one. And of course, shout out to my three patrons, General Jack Ripper, Tara, and William.